We are not slaves, we are not children, we are a sovereign people, and we shall decide our own future. These are the words of Captain Ibrahim Traore, spoken not in his palace but among his people, in fatigues and on the streets, under the blazing sun of Ouagadougou. In 2022, while the world turned its eyes to the casual centers of power, Traore rose from the ranks of the military and seized control of a country that had long been strangled by foreign interests. At just 34 years old, he became the youngest head of state in the world, but he did not rise to play as a puppet. He rose to cut the strings. His first act was to confront the ghost of empire. For decades, France maintained a tight grip over Burkina Faso through military cooperation agreements, control of financial system, indirect influence over the national politics, and French troops that operated from the military base just outside the capital. CFA franc, backed by the French treasury, chained African economies to Paris, and French companies mined the continent's riches while the locals remained trapped in poverty. Traore declared that the era of being marginalized was over. He ordered the French military to leave Burkina Faso immediately with no negotiations, no extensions. And in February of 2023, under mounting pressure, they did. He did not stop there. When the French diplomats were caught engaging in what the government described as subversive activities, they were expelled. The message was clear. Burkina Faso was no longer for sale. While France watched its influence crumble, Traore looked east. Russia, the long and eager to expand its foothold in Africa, reopened its embassy in Burkina Faso. After a 31-year absence, the Russian military advisors and private security contractors, believed to be part of a group known as the Bear Brigade, arrived quietly but deliberately, offering protection to the junta. Was this the new form of dependence or a strategic pivot? Traore didn't say much, he simply acted. At the time, he did what a few African leaders had dared to do. He took control of the country's gold. Burkina Faso is one of the largest producers of gold, but most of the wealth was flown abroad. In 2023, Traore's government created a state-owned mining company and mandated that all foreign mining firms had over 15% stake from the government. For the first time in decades, the people of Burkina Faso would directly benefit from their own land. President Macron, meanwhile, was struggling to contain all this damage he had caused. His promises of a new era in Franco-African relations were beginning to ring hollow. Despite speeches acknowledging the crimes of colonialism, the French troops had, however, remained in different parts of Western Africa. The CFA franc still operated there, and French firms still held very massive cohesions on African soil. Traore's boldness has inspired very many African leaders. For example, in Mali, in Guinea, Niger, new leaders are following this similar path, this blueprint laid by Captain Traore, rejecting European lectures and reclaiming their national treasures. But Traore's fight was not just external. He faced various coup attempts, all funded by the French national government. From within the country, including a plot he claimed to involve various foreign agents. His government, however, responded ruthlessly, arresting all these different officers and silencing all the critics against him. But with Burkina Faso, many have struggled to agree what he's doing. Different foreign agents have sounded alarms claiming of human rights being disabled. However, his speeches delivered not from luxury podiums but in open-air campaigns and rallies, similar to those by Sankara, the revolutionary who once ruled their same land. Traore even wore the same beret and walked among the same people that Sankara spoke to. Western media have, however, painted him as dangerous, a populist, a man drunk on power. But in the streets of Ouagadougou, children have chanted his names. Vendors have blasted speeches from across loudspeakers, and murals of his face have appeared besides those of Sankara and Lumumba. The irony, however, while Traore was accused of authoritarianism, many Africans saw France, who supported dictators as Idriss Déby in Chad, Yoweri Museveni in Uganda, as hypocritical. Traore's popularity may be uncomfortable for different Western diplomats, but in real, polls showed that declining faith in democracy, not because people hate freedom, but because they associate the word with corruption, rigged elections, and leaders who sell their countries to the highest bidders that helps them get power. Captain Traore, together with Burkina Faso, they push ahead, isolated from France and embracing a country like Russia, struggling against different insurgents. But one truth remains undeniable. Traore has outsmarted the empire of France. He has turned France's legacy against itself, and he has exposed the different hollow promises by President Macron. He broke the military chains that had long governed Burkina Faso, and he has reclaimed the minds throughout all the diplomats out of the country, and through it all, he has repeated the same words that electrified the nation. We are not slaves, we are not children, we are a sovereign people.